Hey, happy Friday to you. Unless you're watching this video any other day of the week, then it's too bad for you. Today we're going to talk about Queek. He's my favorite lord in lore, he's my favorite lord in campaign, and I never use him online. There's a lot of reasons for that. So, we could talk about what would make him great, but first, let's talk about what can make him usable. And honestly, the first and only fix that would immediately make Queek usable, not great, but usable, is I'm going to demonstrate right here. Whee! His mass is shitty.
Yes.
He gets flung around by any large combatant, even Sartorial. He just can't stand up and fight, like ever. Like ever. Oh, he's up. He's up. Can he? Oh, he's staggered. Alright, he's up. Can he swing? Yeah, he got to swing off. Go, Queek, go. Go, Queek, you turned around. Now you're flying. Oh, boy. Now, I was talking to Cry is Free. And Cry is Free was insistent that Queek beats the crap out of a Sartorial. I said he doesn't because he gets knocked over all the time. And Cry disagreed. And I was right that Queek gets knocked over all the time. Though in my 3 tests before this video, because I was preparing it, Queek did win all 3. So something changed since I tested this like half a year ago. And now that I say that, Queek is losing as soon as I hit the record button. But I promise Cry is Free. I tested this and it turns out you were mostly right. He usually beats Sartorial. But it is a little bit down to RNG if he can ever stand up and swing. Alright, that got a little closer than I wanted, but you get the point. He spends too much time on the ground. So as Queek versus, Queek is a duelist character. He's meant to get into a melee fight with someone. And Sartorial is this big mobile bird thing that's supposed to be a caster, and the fight was close. Now, Sartorial's no slouch in combat, but, they're about the same cost with all of Queek's buffs, and Sartorial's paying for the extra speed, unbreakable, extra mass, and the ability to cast magic at all, and somehow that was close. So yeah, he gets knocked around, Footlords do. Well, not this one. So I think immediately the first thing that would just, as I said, make Queek viable, not amazing, is a mass change to be more like Sigvald. Because you're going to see an extreme difference here. It's kind of shameful. So on the charge, Sigvald didn't get knocked around that time. In my first test, he did get knocked down on the charge. But after that, he hit the fast forward button, and he never falls down. Never. So that's a big change. This fight's going significantly better when Sigvald can swing back all the time. I mean, yeah, Sigvald's ridiculous, but just the amount of time he's not on the ground means Sartorial's not getting free extra attacks on him. The fact that he's not flying through the air means Sartorial doesn't get another free charge attack on him. It just helps his animations a lot. And another lord that's not even very good, but just to prove my point even further, that it's not just, it's just Sigvald. Sigvald's OP, and yeah, he is OP, but Grimgor is another foot duelist character. And he also does not go flying all over the goddamn map. Quick battlefield. I'll just fast forward really quick. I just want to show that he doesn't go flying. I don't really care about anything else. But he holds his ground, he stands. And Queek's kind of the only character I can think of that spends that much time in the air or on the ground. So, step 1. And Queek's supposed to fill the same niche as Grimgor for his faction. He's supposed to be the stand and fight Skaven character because everybody else brings more. So that's the instant 1-2 punch of why I think Queek could be viable. Now, how to make him good is a different conversation. And I think it comes down to some of his, one particular thing. His item, the Warp Shard Armor, it's a good item in a vacuum, but it sucks on this roster. and it's too expensive. I don't know if we talked about this in the how-to Skaven video, but I'll keep this short. Minus 23 armor and an aura around him and minus 5 melee defense. Okay, cool. It's not a bad item at all. The problem is the roster he's working with. All of your infantry sucks. None of it's trying to win the melee fight. So lowering their melee defense won't help you because all you're taking is clan rats and Skaven slaves most of the time, and then bombing shit with poison, or shooting it, or slingering it, or hitting it with molder monsters. But like, there are not very many effective builds where you take like plague monks, and even then, in this aura, you're maybe going to help one plague monk, maybe, because if you're too grouped up, your entire army is going to get burning headed or final trans, so you have to be spread out. So this is maybe going to help one plague monk win one fight. It's just not very good. Now the armor thing, well, let's take a look at the roster he's on. Oh hey, Poison Wind ignores armor. Warp Fire Throwers do magic damage. That helps Slingers, kind of. Armor Piercing, Armor Piercing, Armor Piercing. Ignores Armor Piercing. He's on one of the best Armor Piercing rosters, so they don't really need the Armor Lord. And the other thing is if you want a Foot Fighter Lord, Queek's Warp Shard armor lowers their armor by 23. Deathmaster Snick's basic attacks that he doesn't even pay for lower their armor by 50%. So if you have a target with 50 armor or more, which is considered an armored unit, Snitch is going to reduce his armor by more than Queek is anyway, right? So Queek's better at lowering the armor of Chaff, but who cares if something has 20 armor or 10? It's, you know, it's still pretty weak. And Snitch, with his base kit, because you don't usually take his Whirl of Weeping Blades, it's very situational, but with his base kit, he is as expensive as Queek without the Warp Shard armor, and he still gives the armor sundering if you really wanted it for some reason. Like, if you have a sling build, it's still better to take Snitch, run him up, like, say there's Celastra, right? She has 150 armor. Run Snitch up, melee attack her once, snare her with the Deathmaster Sigil and run away. She has 75 armor all of a sudden, hit her with a bunch of slings. Like, Queek can't get away from that, and he's only lowering her by 20. He does give leadership buffs. That is nice. So he's kind of like a better Tretch, but that's not saying a lot. And the Trophy Heads is good. You can bring an Assassin to do the same thing. Little less melee defense, but the point remains. Meanwhile, with Deathmaster, what you can get out of him, a melee defense buff for himself, but Queek has that with Stand Your Ground. Deathmaster Sigil is a very, 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 very good snare. And he has a constant aura of minus 10 melee defense and minus 4 leadership. So even with Queek's armor, there's a better item on the same roster that's also constant, and it lowers twice as much melee defense and leadership, which is more and more, way more important than armor to the Skaven playstyle. So how to make Queek actually like a great lord is why I'm going on this rant. Is now some people are going to be mad about this, but I would replace the Warp Shard armor with either a Mortis Engine, because in lore, when he gets hit, the dust comes off of him and like does you damage. It like burns your eyes and shit. So if he was kind of like a tanky Mortis Engine lord, that could be good. I would take the Mortis Engine off of the Warlock Engineer. I don't really know why they have it. The Warpstone armor, that's pretty much Queek's thing. That should just be his armor, not theirs. So I would take it off the Warlock Engineer and give it to him. Or, if we don't need another damn Mortis Engine in this game, I would... Well, it's not really an item, but Queek doesn't have Frenzy. And my friend Felix pointed out to me that he really should. He's like the definition of a frenzied character. He's friggin' insane. And he has no ITP or anything, so a big monster shows up and Queek just runs away. Or if anybody has terror or something, Queek just runs away. So, yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't mind Queek having... Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, I just thought of this right now, so it might be a shit idea. I didn't fact check it before I go. You could replace the Warp Shard armor. You could make the Warp Shard armor one of his abilities and have it be like a debuff or something. I don't know. But give him some sort of AoE buff. Oh crap, I just had the idea and I lost it. No, come back. Oh yeah, okay, like Because Queek's whole thing in his story is that he sprints forward ahead of his army, and they're all so terrified of him noticing that they're not running as fast as him, they just go into this frenzied panic to run after him. So what if he had like an AoE thing like Nakai, where Nakai has perfect vigor around him, except Queek has an AoE unbreakable? Small AoE, obviously. It's like only the units right next to him are unbreakable unless Queek's leadership is under half. Or something like that. Like, that could make him more niche, more useful as a center lord. Because it looks like he's kind of a weird mix between Deathmaster Snitch, but he's not as good at what Snitch does, of walking down to the lord and killing it. But he's also like Tretch Craventail, who's meant to make your army stand and fight. But Tretch just sucks. So then Queek's kind of in this half zone where he's like, well, I neither make my whole army stand and fight, nor do I usually catch a lord and kill it. Now, I know Cryos3 is going to be freaking out at me for this, but yes, Queek can factually kill a lord if they're standing still and he runs up and murders them. Yes. The problem is he doesn't have a snare, he only has 42 speed, and most lords are going to be mounted, or just a monstrous character like Sartorial that can just outrun you. So, with no snare or anything. And then if they do decide to fight you, as we just saw, you get knocked around half the fight. So it's pretty easy for Sartorial to charge you, knock you away, and walk off. So, that being said, like, as a stat stick, yes, Queek can win most fights against foot lords, but it's hard to get that situation for yourself. Anyway, those are my thoughts on how Queek could be better. This was kind of meant to just be a fun little video because I'm not hosting a tournament or anything today, and YouTube hates it when you take a day off. And we all must appease our Lord and Savior YouTube. Alright. See you around, people.